Okay, we will go straight to questions. Here to your left.
Greg Hunter, Blue and Gold News. So, Bob, start with the basics. Keys for you guys tomorrow. What do you have to do well?
Make shots. They're from everything I've watched, they do a great job of spreading you and making shots. We've got to make shots. We make shots would be fine.
Dan Wolken, USA Today. Bob, I saw some comments from you earlier this year that it took you a while to figure out how to coach or how to deal with the portal guys on your team. How much is the experience you've had this year going to inform, how you build teams in the future and how you coach them?
I think this year helped, but you have returning guys. Generally, I didn't know whether you should or you shouldn't, but we recruited some freshman guys to keep coming into the program. Obviously, they weren't ready. And then you get guys out of the portal that, honestly, some of them fit in, some of them struggle to fit in. It just took some time. And all that being said, we had opportunities early. We had opportunities early, particularly in the conference season, where we should have won games and we didn't win games. We missed free throws, we missed layups, we threw it away at a crucial time. We just did a lot of things that are uncharacteristic of this group, and it cost us. And it got to the point where it was time to sit down and say, fellas, we've screwed up. We've put our backs against the wall. I mean, we can either fight our way out or we can give. Obviously, they decided to fight their way out.
Coach Jared McDonald with the Charleston Gazette-Mail. I know you've talked about Eric a lot throughout the season. Probably depends on what day I ask you this, what your answer will be, but what's your relationship, with him mean to you, and what's it been like watching him in this environment now that he finally has a chance to play in the NCAA tournament?
Well, believe it or not, Eric and I have always had a pretty good relationship. I think there's been a lot of guys through the years that we have great relationships that people really have no idea, because I think both of us think that it's nobody's damn idea anyways, other than ours. We need to take care of each other, which obviously he's done a great job of, particularly here of late. I forget what your second question was. Well, he's never played in an NCAA tournament, which is really hard to believe. It's hard to believe that he's played for the coaches that he's played for and the programs that he's played in, and he hasn't played in an NCAA tournament. So hopefully he's kind of settled down and plays this like he would play any other game.
Hi, Coach. Carrie Osup, WVTM out of Birmingham. On the topic of relationships, what has it been like to have a relationship with Andy Kennedy, who's obviously the head coach at UAB here? And then will you guys have a chance to chat at all or see each other? I know you're both pretty busy this weekend, but just wanted to ask.
Well, Andy and I have been close for a long time. I was at the Peach Jam. I'm sitting over there watching the game. Andy came over and sat down and started talking, and the next thing I know, I hired him as an assistant. And I had quite a crew. I had at one time I had Andy, Frank Martin, Brad Underwood. I mean, I've been blessed. I've been blessed, and certainly Andy's right at the top of the list of guys. And he was really good for me because, as you know, he has a great sense of humor, and there's a lot of times I don't. So he was a great mix for me.
So, Bob, we talked about keys for you, keys for Maryland. What do they do well? What do you guys got to defend?
Well, here of late, they make a lot of shots, and Kevin's done a great job. He's done a great job with what they do offensively. I mean, I think he's done a great job of putting that team together. Defensively, I think they've, from what I saw early and what you watch now, they're much improved, and certainly Kevin deserves credit for that. They seem to be extremely coachable. They're rebounding the ball very well. They're just doing a lot of things right.
I'll keep going. Like you, he's a coach's kid. Talked about it before, but what is it about coaches' kids that leads them into the profession?
I'm not sure. My mother wanted me to be a doctor, and I found out how many classes you had to take to do that, and I'd like, got to be a better way out than this. So I did it because I loved the game. I loved being around the game. I got an opportunity to be a whatever it was, a volunteer coach or whatever right after I got done playing, and I liked it. I liked working with the guys. I liked coaching the guys. I liked it. I liked sharing what I learned as a player with them, and it just seemed like the right thing to do. Plus, I didn't want to leave Morgantown.
When you talk about how this team dug itself out of the hole, how do you know if you can when you're leaning so heavily on players that have only been here a short amount of time? You haven't coached, you haven't really had a chance to develop them through their whole college career.
I have a way. I'm not sure. It varies. The idea that you treat them all the same is absolute BS. You can't treat them all the same. They're all different. They're all different. They have different expectations. They have different goals. You find out what makes them tick. You find out where they want to go, what they want to do, what they want to be. It's the same thing that happened to me as a player. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I wanted to play basketball. And right now, if you'd ask every one of them what you want to do, they want to play basketball. Whether that be in Europe, whether that be in the CBA, the ABA, the NBA, they all want to keep playing. And you try to spend time, work with them, try to make things realistic with them. Try to tell them what it takes to try to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And I've been there, and I've got a great staff. I mean, I've got the guy who was the 6th pick in the draft. Pretty good, and that's coming out as a freshman. He had a teammate who was the 1st pick in the draft with a broken leg, if you recall. So he understands. He's been through it. He can relate to them. I got another assistant who played for me, and then I got another assistant who was a kid who used to come down and rebound for me when I tried to get shots up after the game if I had a bad game, and I've known him since he was a little kid. So I've got guys I can trust. I got guys who, in a lot of ways, know a lot more than I know about a lot of different things.
At this time, we're going to Zoom Christopher Heidel.
Hi, Coach Huggins. This is Chris Heidel from 100% Radio in Baltimore. Congratulations on making the tournament. Just talk about playing against Maryland. You haven't played them in a very long time. What do they look like now in the Big Ten?
I think they're playing extremely well. obviously I haven't seen them in person. I just have seen them on tape, but I think they're playing extremely well. And again, I think Kevin's done a terrific job of putting them in positions where they can be successful, which is what we're supposed to try to do, is put them in positions where they can be successful. I think he's done a great job of putting guys in positions that fits them.
In the very back.
Coach, I wanted to ask your perspective on this. We have a unique situation here in this city, having both Auburn and Alabama essentially having home court advantage in this tournament. You have so much experience in this tournament. How much of a benefit is that for a team to actually get to play in front of its home crowd, since that is such a unique advantage for teams?
Well, I think playing in front of your home crowd is a terrific advantage. I think that's why the majority of teams, when you look at their win-loss record and you study it a little bit, they have a lot more wins at home than they have wins on the road. I think it's a comfortable factor. I think just the bearing that the crowd has a lot to do with it.
Middle.
Ryan Decker, Golden Blue Nation. Coach, I guess kind of on that note, it seemed like last year when you guys were down here, there was a pretty good WVU set of fans that were here for that game against UAB. I guess what are your expectations for WVU fans coming to tomorrow's game and then maybe one on Saturday as well?
Well, I'd be shocked if there weren't a lot here. I mean, we travel well. Our people travel well. And I think with pretty much the way we played towards the end of the year, I think our fans are excited about us making a run.
Here in the front.
Coach, kind of going back to some of the transfer portal stuff, a number of players going into the transfer portal this week. How do you balance, preparing for this NCAA tournament game and preparing for the future as well beyond this?
I haven't. I'm trying to get our guys ready, give them every opportunity to win. That's what we're supposed to do. We'll worry about that later.
Joe Goodman, AL.com. Bob, you got such a great coaching tree, at this point in your career. What are some of the insights, I guess, into developing great assistant coaches?
I think the majority of us went through it. I was blessed to have a father who's probably, if you took a poll, would be the best coach in the history of Ohio high school basketball. So I grew up with that. I was blessed to be able to be around a guy like Eldon Miller at Ohio State for 3 years, who actually a few weeks ago came down and spent a couple weeks with me, and a couple weeks watching us practice, and I've just been blessed to be around basketball people. I probably spent more time around Charlie Spoonhour than his wife. Love Spoon, and Spoon and I had a great relationship. And you learn a lot from a guy like that. And I've just been blessed. I've had a great relationship with most coaches. There's been a few we maybe haven't seen eye to eye, but not very many. And the reality of it is I love being around coaches. I grew up that way. I grew up in a trailer with 4 sisters and 2 brothers. Close family. Better be close. You grew up in a trailer with that many people. Grew up in a town of 500 people. 2 stoplights, 9 bars. I mean, I grew up the right way. I grew up in what people really think of when you think back about it. That's real America. So, I've been blessed.
Bob, NCAA tournaments play different, officiated different, just style, nerves. What's the difference at this stage compared to what you've been through the rest of the year?
I can only guess, but I sure hope it's officiated different. The other part of it, we're just going to go play. You know, we're going to study film. We're going to look at tendencies. We're going to hopefully see what they're good at. If there's anything they're not good at, I suspect there's not a whole lot they're not good at, because Kevin does a great job with them. But no, man, it's, you know, who knows? Who knows? And I think the hard thing for officials is, I shouldn't talk about officials, but you get different guys. They don't all, you know, during the year they're all to work together. They're in crews, and I don't know how much crew in there is, you know, here. So different guys have different ideas, and that's not wrong. I just think sometimes it makes it a little harder on them.
Back to the middle front.
Yeah, question about trailer life. What are some of the values that you learned, you know, around sharing and things like that growing up in such close quarters?
Don't be the last one in the tub. It's rough. The last one in the tub's rough. You know, you're in a trailer, you kind of share the same water.
We got time for one more question. In the very back.
I guess I'll ask one more, but back to the point of just having two teams, again, this unique situation with Auburn and Alabama. I just want to know, on the flip side of that, maybe there's a little extra pressure sometimes too. Again, I know this doesn't happen often. As a coach, do you like the neutrality during the tournament to be in a new environment? Does it take some of the focus away, maybe for the guys that are coming into something they're maybe familiar with?
No, I think we'd love for y'all to come to Morgantown. Let's have a tournament in Morgantown. It'd be fun. I'd enjoy that. I'm sure Bruce is excited about playing here, and I'm sure both guys are excited about playing here. Why wouldn't you be?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.